In this tutorial, I'm going to cover the basics of After Effects, and this will be my first tutorial for After Effects. And I'm going to show you how to make this simple little movie here. And before we do that, we're just going to discuss some of the basic panels in After Effects. So right now, what we have is we have a composition panel, and this is where this movie is being played, but this is also where we can make a movie, okay? And we'll get more into that in just a second. Then we have our project panel. And the project panel is the files needed for the project, and then we have our timeline, okay? And in our timeline, we've got layers, and we've got also our time indicator, just something basic, you know. See, we can drag this, and we can. So, in order to play it, I just hit the space bar just to let you know, okay? And if I want to stop it, I hit the space bar again. All right, so this is not the project. I mean, this is a movie of the project I brought in, but I'm going to actually now bring in the file so we can begin this. So first thing you're going to need to do is we're going to go to File, and we're going to go New Project. And for anybody listening to this, this is for my Kennesaw State students. So if you're looking for this file online, you're not going to find it. But if you're at Kennesaw State, you can find this file in your D2L class, okay? So let me continue here. We don't want to save because that was just, I just set that up there so you could see what we're going to be making. And so first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to New Composition from Footage. This little frame here, okay? And as you can see, as I run it over there, it gets highlighted. And I'm going to just click on it. Now, what I want to do is I want to look for the file. Now, I'm on my desktop at home. And so I'm going to have to go into my folder here called Squares and Circles. You'll download this AI file from a D2L. Now, I'm not going to double click it. I just click it once. We got to select it because we don't want to, if we double click it, it's just going to open it. But we want to import it as not footage. Now, that was the last thing I brought in and showed you because that was footage. We're going to bring it in as a composition, and we want to retain the layer sizes. Okay? And then once I do that, then I click open. Now, it's brought it in, but, we're going to click this in just a moment up here, but before we do that, I'm going to go and check my composition and composition settings to see. All right, right now, my composition is set for 2 seconds. And for this first movie we're going to make, it's going to be 5 seconds. So I'm going to change it here. That's why it's important to go to composition settings after you bring in your composition. The other thing I want to check out, too, is my frame rate. I want to make sure it's set for 30, okay? So it's set for 30. Over here, I'm going to highlight 2 and just click in 5, and then I'm going to click OK. Now, I'm going to go over to my project and double-click it. And right now, what's happening is these are different layers. So in this layer, I have, I think, a white circle that gets enlarged, and this one we've got a black circle, I think, that gets enlarged. I say think because I've got to scale these things down to see what they actually are. And that's what we're going to be doing in a moment. But, we've got these different layers. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to need to bring out all the timelines. So I just wanted to show you some of the different layers that I have for this file that we brought in. But my timeline, was set for 2 seconds. And now the problem is my movie, if I start working with this, it's going to stop here. So we need to go and select all this. Okay? And we're going to select all the layers here, and then I'm going to go and drag this all the way over to 5. Now, if for some reason in class here or wherever you're at, your composition setting was previously set to 5, you won't need to do this. But in the instance that I was, since I worked from a smaller 2-second movie first and then brought it over, I needed to change that. And I think it's important to see how to do things here, okay? So let me click off of that for a moment. right? Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to be revealing layers along the timeline. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to reveal these at different segments, and we're going to do this at 10 frames each. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and click on the bottom. It's going to be layer 2, black squares, and we're going to go all the way up to layer 15 here, which is the top one. And I'm going to go and I'm going to drag this. You see this? Wait till you get this indicator with the 2 arrows pointing out. I'm going to drag these to 10 seconds. Okay? I'm going to come down here and click. Now, if for some reason you don't have enough room there, by the way, you can adjust this. And as you can see here, I'm just moving this up and down. So if you don't have enough room to get to all your layers here at one time, you can move this up like this. Okay, you can always change things you can always change your palette sizes in After Effects. Okay, you're just going to go over and look for this, and then you can change that. Okay, but anyway, let me continue here. So I deselected by clicking down below here. Now I'm going to go and click from layer 3, or it says 13 here. I don't know. I guess they numbered them. I numbered them 1, 2, 3 up to 15 here, but as you can see, they kind of numbered them this way. So I wasn't really anticipating that when I was building the file, and I didn't think that through. But that's okay. Anyway, I'm going to click here at the top one, layer 1, or in my case, it's 15, and I'm going to drag this over to 20. Come down here, deselect, go up to the next one here. That's it's layer 12, but I've got it marked as 4, white circle, and go up to here, layer 1, okay, or in my case, 15, and bring it on over to 1. Now, the 1 is not 1 frame or 100 frames or anything. That's actually the 1 second mark, okay? Now, I'm going to click off of here. We're going to go up to the next layer, layer 11, or 5 black circle, as I have it written there, and go up here and click that. I'm holding down the shift key, by the way, in case I didn't say that before when I'm doing that. And then I'm going to drag these over here, okay? Come down here, deselect, go up to the next one. That's layer 10. And then we're going to go up to layer 1, hold down the shift key, and then drag this over to 20 seconds. And I'm just going to keep doing this, and it's going to take a second here to get this all done. We're going to do this until we reach the end of our movie. And I actually planned this out because when I was first creating this little demo, this little tutorial, I didn't have all this counted out, and it didn't match. So finally I decided, if I'm going to do it for 5 seconds, I need 15 layers so they're all equal, because it's 30 frames per second, and we're changing it at 10 frames each. So these are going to be revealed. We're going to play this in just 1 second after I get to the last one. Got deselect, go up to the very top layer here, layer 1. Now, I'm going to hit my space bar. Not much is happening. It's just revealing these layers, but we're going to make it more interesting. Okay, so we're going to make it like what I originally showed you. So let's go, and I'm going to hit the space bar again. I'm going to drag it up. I'm going to drag my timeline indicator. Okay, I'm going to drag that all the way to the beginning of our movie, and I'm going to go down to the white square here. That's layer 15 down here, and I'm going to hit. And so you got to be on this layer, and then I'm going to hit the S key, which brings up scale. Okay? Now, let me cover this for just a second. If you scroll up under here, well, first of all, on a layer, you'll see this little arrow here, and this little arrow is pointing down. Now, if we show it all, this will show all of our transform features. And I just wanted to show scale, because I'm going to have all these layers, and if I did this for every single one here, showing all this, this is really all going to get in the way, and it's going to be harder to work with. So the way they make After Effects is if we go and close these layers up here, if you're on a layer and you hit a certain key, we're going to hit scale, it'll bring up the scale. In other tutorials, we're going to cover other things that we're going to bring up here. But for this tutorial, we're just going to bring up the scale for each layer, but we're going to do this one at a time. And so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my timeline indicator again. I should have just left it here at 10. And we want to go down to our scale and click the stopwatch. And what this does is this will actually add what they call a keyframe. Okay? Now we need 2 keyframes to make an animation because right now nothing's going to change. So we're going to drag this all the way to the beginning here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and change the scale. So we're going to go down to 0. And we could do this 2 ways. And one thing I want to show you is we got the width and the height here, okay, or X and Y, and it's at 100%. And we've got this little chain here showing that they're going to go down in proportion together. We unclick that, it's going to change, okay? And let me just unclick it for a second. I'll show you what I mean here. See if we wanted it to do this, and that might be a cool thing to do here, to be honest with you. I just never thought about that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Command Z, or on a PC here, if you're working in class, it's going to be Control Z, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just click this little chain button again so that it will all stay together. And I'm going to what they call scrubbing. And that means I'm just going to, when I'm on this layer right here, I'm on scale, if I click and start to move, we can actually change the scale all at once, like this. And because they're linked together, it's going to do them both together. So we're going to go down to 0. All right, and now if I show this, this is what happens, okay? Now, it's actually revealing the other layer, too, right here, because this layer is being revealed. But so we're going to go up to this layer, layer 14, or as I call it, 2 black square, and then we're going to click S button on our keyboard. And then I'm going to go and do the same thing here. I'm going to go over here, and then I'm going to click the stopwatch, and then I'm going to go back to frame 10 here at the beginning of when this layer gets revealed. And we're going to just scrub it down, and I'm going over towards the left, as you can see. And see, I went past there, so that's in the negatives. We just want to go down to 0, okay? So now what's happening is, in our movie, is this. And that's why it looks so trippy there as far as when we play it fast. I hope it doesn't give anybody a seizure. That's something I should always consider in making movies like this, is if you're prone to epileptic seizures, you don't want that. You don't want this class to be giving you one with this project, okay? So bear that in mind. Anyway, I'm going to go up to layer 13, or as I have it marked 3 square, and then we're going to hit S again. And we'll just do the same thing, but I'm going to show you a quicker way to do this in just a moment. So I'm going to go over to frame, well, it's actually the 30th frame, but it's the 1 second mark. We're going to click our little stopwatch on our scale, so it's going to stay at that percentage. And then we're going to go to the beginning of that, where that layer gets revealed, and we're going to scrub it down to 0. Or another way to do this is if we double click within one of these and click 0 on our keypad and hit enter, we can do that. So it makes it a little faster. So let's go up to the next layer here. And we'll drag over to 1 frame and 10, well, actually, the 10 mark here after the 1 second. And we're going to make sure we're on this layer. We're going to hit S again, and click our scale, and drag over here to our beginning where the layer gets revealed. And then we can double click inside, hit 0, and then hit enter, and we do that. Now, as I said, this takes a little time, but there is a quicker way, and that is we're going to copy and paste these keyframes, Because basically we want to tell each layer to do this. Because right now what's happening is, as you can see, each layer's done this, and then we need to add to the other layers. So I'm going to simply click on these little diamonds here. Okay, these little keyframe icons, and we're going to do Command C or Control C if you're on PC. All right. Then I'm going to go up to the black circle layer, or it should say, it's layer 11. And if we do Command V right now, it pastes a layer. It pastes that shape there. We don't want to do that. So I'm going to do Control Z here. I just want to show you that. What we need to do is, before we paste, we need to hit the S key on the keyboard so that scale comes up. And then we're going to do Command V, and it will add it in like that. Okay, so it just added those keyframes in. Great. All right. Now we'll go up to the next one here, and we'll hit S, and then we'll hit Command V, and it does it again. See, this is a little quicker now that once we begin doing something and we're pasting keyframes. Go up to the next layer, hit the S key, and do Command or Control V, I should say. Move it over again, and we're just going to keep doing this. And we'll be through with this in just a moment because it's not going to take us long. Oh, we just got to go up to the next layer here. All right, S, V. I did that. All right, so we got to go over here. Go up to the next layer. S, Command V. There we go. S, and then, or I should say Control V, because I know everybody in the class will be working on a PC in class. S, V. Is Control V this time. Yes, and Control V, and we're getting here to the end. S and Control V, and finally on our top layer here, layer 1, we'll do S and Control V. All right. So now let's watch our movie. And it's very simple. It's a very simple 5-second movie. All right, I'll hit the space bar to stop it. Okay. Now, one thing I didn't cover, and I just wanted to do it now, is saving. Okay. And before we go into saving things, first of all, if we're going to save After Effects files, we need to have we need to manage our files correctly. So let me go and show you my desktop here. And on my desktop, I have my squares and circles folder right here. Okay, and in this, so in the classroom, what you're going to have is you're going to have this more or less on your desktop. You're going to need to create a new folder and put this Adobe Illustrator file in it. Okay. So that we'll have a folder with our file inside, and then we're going to be saving our After Effects movie there. Because if we don't, well, I'm going to show you what happens. And we're going to do it the right way first, and then we're going to do it the wrong way. So we go to File, go to Save As. Okay, we want to find that folder now. Go to our desktop. And we're going to go to Squares and Circles. There it is. And we're going to hit Save. And we're going to file format Adobe After Effects project, okay? Not a template. Very simple. Now it's saved. Now I'm going to show you what happens if we save this somewhere else. Let me show you something that can happen here that can really screw things up. Well, and that is if, let's go into here. And this may screw things up royally for me, but that's okay. But, actually, you know what? I'm going to go back and render this first, just because I want to save time here on recording this tutorial. Okay, so let me go back into After Effects here. And before I go and show you what happens if you mismanage where you're putting your file, let me at least show you how to render this, okay? So, because right now, this can only be seen in After Effects, and if you don't save it, you won't be able to see it. You're going to have to recreate it again. So I've saved it. Now I want to make it into a movie. So we need to add it to the render queue. So you go up to Composition, Add to Render Queue. Now in this, now see, I'm just going to show you this. This is all in the, here's the timeline, but here's the render queue. Now in the render queue, we have these different things that we need to click on to check out. We're going to go to Render Settings in this little highlight blue, but now it's white. I'm going to click on it. And we could pretty much just leave it as is, but I want to make this half the resolution, just so it's not such a large thing. So it's going to cut it in half as far as the size of our movie. Not in time, but in scale, okay? Now, if you want to keep your movie at 100%, you can, but this will make it easier when you're uploading your movies to our Brightspace course, okay, our D2L course. Because if you do bigger files, you know, they take longer. We're going to be actually uploading the movie files to our D2L class. So let me go and click OK. Make sure your frame rate is 30, right? Because sometimes I'll bring in some things, and I'll bring in a composition, and it'll be set for 24. And then I want to render it at 30 because it's going to make it much smoother, much better, okay? But anyway, we can click OK. We're going to get to our output module. Now, it's already set for you, but you just want to make sure your format is the H.264, H.264, which is basically our MP4 format, okay? And everything else looks okay. We'll click OK. In some courses in other courses I've taught, I've told people, you know, we can turn our audio output off because we don't have any audio, but that's not totally necessary, but I did it anyway. All right, now we're going to go to output 2. So this is going to tell the program where this needs to be put out to as far as when it renders the movie. And we want to do it on our desktop, okay? And it doesn't matter whether if we put it in a folder or not because we can drag it out. But anyway, let's go do that, and then we're going to go and render. So I hit that render button, and you hear that little sound? That tells us our movie has been rendered. So now I'm going to go out to my desktop, find our movie. Okay, it's this one right here because the earlier one is up, and it's playing there. But I'm going to double-click it and just play it. Now I'm on Mac, so this is in QuickTime, and it stops. Now, you know, in QuickTime, if I wanted to keep looping it, just so I could see, because this is what I usually do. If I make a movie, I'll loop it because I want to watch it enough times to see if there's anything that I don't like about it or need to change. But anyway, there's our movie. And this is the file, and we'll click on, I want to go Command-I. I'm on a Mac, mind you. I'm doing this just to check out my file size. So this is going to be small enough for you to upload to our project folder for this exercise. So you're going to be doing this for each of these little movies we're doing for this first exercise, because we're going to make 3 movies here. And so anyway, the thing I want to show you now is what happens if we move something, okay? So this is Squares and Circle movie. This is a folder here. I'm going to move our file out of here, okay? And then let's go up to our After Effects. I'm going to go back down here and go to After Effects. And it says, After Effects warning, files could not be found, 14 files missing. And then this occurs, okay? We click over here. You know, it actually, we have no files, but it's actually giving the effect that we put on everything. But see, that's what can happen to you. Now, I don't know if it'll fix it if I move it back in here. I'm hoping it does. We'll see here. okay, and it's still having problems, okay. So therefore, I'd have to start over again. But I've got it saved, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and file and open project, and I'm hoping everything was going to be correct here. But don't save that. Go to our saved version. There we go. All right. So I just want to show you what can happen if you move files or if they're not all in folders, because sometimes what I will do is I get so busy I'll start making a movie and I'll have it all on my desktop. And then I go, you know what, I want to put it in a file. And then I put it into the file and then it doesn't recognize it. Okay? So that's why I wanted to show you all this so that this doesn't happen to you, okay? Now, once you render your movie, you won't really need to go back to your file unless you need to make changes, okay, to make it better. So anyway, this will complete this tutorial, and we'll cover more in our next one.